us, because he was a gentleman in true sense of the word, and I was very surprised to see his passing, because he was just here about maybe a month ago or so and spoke before this body. So just wanted to recognize that for the record.
We just learned about this. Would it be appropriate to have a moment of silence for Mr. P?
The chair has no objection. Stand for a moment of silence. Any other public comment? Mr. Shire and Mr. Rodriguez.
Catherine, you sit on the
Bill Shire, 1890 Eaton Avenue. Cell phones. During the recent climactic events, I spent some time out front shoveling snow and, more importantly, chopping away at ice. And for several hours, more than I care to remember. And whenever I was working on the street side, for anybody who knows Eaton Avenue, you want to be careful about the traffic that's passing you by, because one officer told me that these clock speeds of 65 miles an hour. So when I would stop working, and then I got the idea to look at the drivers as they came by. And it won't surprise anyone in this room that an awful lot of people are talking on their cell phones while they drive. And we heard a couple of meetings back that not many tickets have been issued, and I think I understand why. If I were a police officer and pulled somebody over for talking on a cell phone, and they would say, well, you would run into outrage, you know. Why are you giving me a ticket like that? Everybody does it. So we have an educational problem here. Also, if somebody's from out of town, even if we put up signs at all the entrances, they wouldn't be necessarily aware of it. So I have a proposal, which I developed while I was waiting for the cars to pass by. We take down the number, the ID number of the driver's license, and put it in a database that's very simple. Just like when an officer checks registration tags. First time, first occurrence, just a warning. I know warnings were handed out last summer, but let's start off with a warning. We'll be very nice about it. We really don't want you to do this because we don't think it's a good idea. In fact, we think it's dangerous. The second offense, $10. It's not much, not much, but it's a little something. Shows that we do really mean it. And then we start to double. Third offense, 20. Fourth offense, 40. Fifth offense, 80. Sixth offense, 160. And maybe seventh offense, we'll cap it at $200. That way, of course, it'll produce some revenue, which we could use. But also, there's a graduation there. We start off very nice and friendly with a warning, and then a small fine, and it just keeps working its way up to show that we are serious about it. We've told you about it, and this is your fourth offense or whatever. And so now we're going to make more money to show that we're serious about it. Because I think it is a real problem, and something we got to do something about, and I don't think the present ordinance is doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez.
Eddie Rodriguez, 1845 Linden Street, Bethlehem. Yes, I want to, it's always been my topic, you know, to talk about things that are happening in the neighborhoods. And that's basically why I come here, apart from seeing everybody. But I want to talk about tonight, as usual, the making stops, the police department making stops on on vehicles that have dark windshields that are coming from out of town in our city. We have ordinances regarding the darkened windshields. And we know why they're, well, at least I know, I should say. I'm assuming they're coming to visit our fair city, but eventually that's not the case. They're coming from out of town, you know, bringing in drugs. It's not everybody, but the vast majority of these individuals. from Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, Lancaster, Reading, Philadelphia, and so on, New York, Jersey. You see them with their license plates throughout our city traveling. And it's making a dramatic change in our neighborhoods. The accumulation of furniture on sidewalks, porches, leftover garbage not being properly disposed of. When I asked that the administration and also City Council make a push, and also the police department, for stuff that's left throughout the neighborhoods, in front of their houses, thrown garbage, so all over, it's all over. Go look at 504 Dakota Street, you see my example of what I'm talking about. I call the health department, but it's starting to spread. It's getting sickening, to see. So I'm asking, to City Council tonight and the administration to advertise in the papers regarding that there is an ordinance, that the general public be aware that they must have their garbage in containers, plastic containers, not plastic bags, which the animals can get to. And this is what happens. Animals are hungry too. Loud mufflers, that's the police department, they make, not only because they're windshields, dark windshields, but loud mufflers and loud music throughout, not only the south side, the north side, is throughout the whole city. And it's gonna get worse. Let's start now to, put our foot down on these things, because, summer's coming, and our city is plagued by drugs. I mean, we don't want to look at it like that, but it's like that. We see it in our neighborhoods. We don't want to make the phone call, but we see it every day. We're too doggone chicken to make that call. You know what I mean? And this is, we're intimidated by this. But this is what happens. We got to step up. Make the doggone call. Tell the police what's happening. Make sure that you get the police department backing you up also. Call the dispatcher. Make sure something is done about it. I make mine. I take my chances too, but I know what must be done for our city and for also for our neighborhoods. Abandoned, unregistered vehicles. Again, the police department must step up. I'm making calls left and right with it. Right again, 504 Dakota Street is a unregistered. I don't see any stickers on it. It's a tow truck, red. This is sickening. And it's throughout. You go on Evans Street, you see the same doggone thing. I've been talking there for 4 years already, and still, these things are not happening the way they should be happening. You got to push for the ordinance that's established. We want it to be enforced. This is getting monotonous. I ask this because it's just getting to the point of no return. People are doing what they want, not what should be done. And it's saddening, where people ask me, I was just talking to an officer tonight, no names mentioned, but people ask me, they're so afraid, they say, Eddie, what can you do? You've been doing it for years, but, we're so afraid that somebody might, break our window, break our car, hurt us. We've seen people that are being attacked and thrown in their basements, taped up. There's no need for this kind of thing happening in Bethlehem. We have a good city, it's a fair city, and we're growing. But we got to knock out these drugs. It's way too much for our city to be handling this. We got to make sure we make these stops, which will at least minimize the amount of individuals that are bringing these drugs and drug trafficking. I know the police department is making a fantastic move, but more has to be done. People like yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol?
I was Carol, 248 East Union Boulevard. Dean's wife actually called me about a week ago and wanted to let me know of his passing, and she had asked me to make sure that everybody knew. So one, I wanted to thank you for acknowledging that today, and also for your moment of silence on his behalf. His wife also wanted me to express to everybody that she couldn't even describe the love of the city that he had, and I just wanted to thank you again, and that he will certainly be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nile?
Evening, Council, Mayor, Chuck Nile, 1966, Pinehurst Road, Northwest Bethlehem, Lehigh County. Back in 2010, the city was sued by a father and a son, I believe, and some altercation at Music Fest, and they won a suit of $800,000. Is that correct? Back in 2010.
I
Don't
believe that-
everybody
I
stand
believe
up
that
and
is
holler
correct.
one time.
I believe that is correct.
Is that correct?
Jack?
So, with that in
I think it
mind, my
happened in
question.
2000.
What,
I think it happened in the year 2000.
2000?
Yeah.
The incident.
The
That
incident-
long? 10
The incident
years?
happened that long.
All right, anyway. So my question is this. Now we got Music Fest, Arts Quest, everything on the south side. Do these people have insurances? Why does the city get tossed into this situation? And why do we have to come up with the money? Case in point, mine, 1971, 72, Bethlehem Catholic High School. Back then it was, oh boy, the kids come to school and we're gonna have a big dance in the gym. Well, I ran a dance in the gym at Bethlehem Catholic. The only thing is I had to go out and get a bond or an insurance for that night to protect the school, just in case we had a problem. We did have a problem. In fact, Sergeant Fox at the time, you remember Sergeant Fox? And I had to go to court. So you see, I'm asking you, do the people on the south side, like Music Fest is gonna have festivals after festivals and everything else, we're gonna send service people over, police, fire, God knows what. If anything happens, who gets it? We, the citizens, on these things? Do they carry an insurance like $100 million for the south side? I certainly would like to see that, because I don't want to see any of our policemen or firemen or anybody go to court and we get slammed. They want to have their fun and all games over there. Don't put anything in the kitty for the help of this city. But they sure should do something as far as a bond issue or something. Because we're going to send police over there, are we not? We're going to send fire over there, are we not? When we had the Bethlehem Steel, we didn't have to do that. Steel Company had their own fire department, had their own police department. They had their own doctors, everything else. It was a city within a city. There are occasions where Bethlehem had to ship people out. But that was a city within a city. You don't have that now. So I was just wondering, maybe you should look into that. That would be a good situation. And as far as anything else, just a quick one. I hope I hope quite a few people read this article about nonprofit organizations over here in the south side. It seems like that's all we're going to have over there, is nonprofit organizations. And until all our bonds and this $17.5 million are paid for, and everything else, which probably wind up in 2050, all the money from the casino will go to that bond, after bond, after bond, after bond. You just don't get it, do you? I don't think you do. You don't get the financial end of a city. If you have 2 cents, spend 2 cents. Don't try and spend $10 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Plumrock?
name is Mary Pine-Grass, and I live at 321 West 4th Street, and I resent the remarks about the South Side. There are nonprofits all over the city of Bethlehem. So don't demean my part of town, because it will make me very angry. But before I become angry, I have to apologize. I did not wish Mr. Spadoni a happy Valentine's Day. So I will wish you a happy Valentine's Day.
Where's the kiss?
I'm a little bit disturbed by some of the comments that were made tonight. We're always talking about transparency in government. And yet I am hearing, do we have duplication of services? Well, some people are slow learners, I'm sorry. So if it's on the city's website or the county website, I have no problem with that duplication of services. I have no problem with heaven help us, my signature on the web. It's on my check. It's on your credit card when you use your credit card. When you go to the hospital, you sign more documents than you have organs in your body. So what is this business about? I don't want my signature on the internet. Grow up. We live in a world where everybody knows everything about you, and if they don't know, they can find out. And if they're looking for something about me, there won't be a whole lot, except, boy, she had a big mouth when she taught school. That's all right, I taught school. And that brings me to a point that really concerns me. The governor of Wisconsin has the audacity to deny any group of workers collective bargaining rights. He wants to take away this benefit, that benefit. I've not heard the governor of Wisconsin say, I'm going to give up my benefits. I have not heard any of the delegates or representatives of the people, or council member, whatever they may be in Wisconsin, I have not heard them offer to give up any benefits. So why does this gentleman have the nerve to demand that the public union workers be denied collective bargaining rights? Now that to me is totally un-American. It's unforgivable that you would deny anyone collective bargaining rights. Now, if you disagree with me, that's your prerogative. But honey, what I'm telling you is correct. No one, no governor, no president has the right to deny any worker collective bargaining rights. If you are going to take away health care from a worker, then the governor should give up his health care and his wonderful pension and his limousine and his security force, etc., etc. There's something very wrong here. I'm tired of hearing about the fact that we are in trouble in America. Some people forget that when Bill Clinton left office, we had a marvelous surplus in the National Treasury. Then we had Republican presidents who drove us into the ground. Now let's get our facts straight. I don't like lies because I don't lie. But some of the things I've been hearing are really striking at the heart of democracy, which is every citizen in this country of ours, regardless of race, origin, color, creed, level of education, every citizen in this country demands the best that we can give them. And if that means signing your signature and letting it go on the internet, so be it. I owe nobody anything, and I have nothing for which to apologize. Why are you afraid? I don't know. I know I'm not.
Any other comments? Mr. Vitale?
Stephen Antalik, 737 Ridge. I have to be careful how I say this, but I don't wish to offend anybody, but I've made some observations this evening which were really significant to me. I heard this evening there's a gentleman who is quite impressed by a person running for City Council and is really going out of his way to support the gentleman. And I know the gentleman also, I won't use names, but I have high respect for him. Probably will even vote for him. But that ties into the second part of what I'm going to say. So I have to be careful now. There's a member in this audience reflects sartorial splendor, much more than many other male, I won't include members who look like myself and some others, a bit tawdry in comparison. But sometime in the past, this gentleman displaying sartorial splendor had quite a different appearance. And that appearance was threatening to some of us. Which goes into rash judgments to demean a person by how they look, whether it be color or whatever, or how they dress. And to say that they're threatened by them is very judgmental. But they see that person now, say, wow, he's a respectable citizen of Bethlehem. Only by the way he dresses. So I suggest, touching on something Mary Palmer had said, that let's keep our judgment objective and not subjective. And treat a person by who they are, but not how they look. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grubb.
Danny Grubb, 2420 Henderson Place. Steve wasn't talking about me. A couple of items I wanted to touch on this evening. I think, Council, through your magnanimous vote tonight, you've taken on nearly $18 million of debt in our name. And I think it's very important to remember why you did that tonight. And I think it's very incumbent on you and future councils to ensure that it never, ever happens again. On a different subject, last May, there was a public hearing involving the exterior design concepts for the stockhouse over at Steel Stacks, the oldest building on the site. I've heard rumors that pretty soon the shovel is going to be put in the ground. Now that design is funded with federal tax dollars passed through the state. There have been no public hearings since, which would apprise the public of what's exactly going to be done with that particular property. Rumors are lots of restrooms and lots of office space and very short on visitor center amenities. To the best of my knowledge, the National Museum of Industrial History, the Delaware and Lehigh Heritage Corridor, the Steelworkers Archives, Save Our Steel, the South Bethlehem Historical Society, and I might add that Preservation Pennsylvania and the National Trust are very interested in how this process is evolving. To the best of my knowledge, none of those organizations have been consulted about space at that facility or even the internal design. I know Council is going to get a tour in March, but that may be too little, too late. And I think it's a travesty that the public has not been kept in the loop, this building in particular. Third item I'd like to bring up, last week I happened to be doing some business on the south side. You get a lot of struggling businesses over in the 3rd and 4th Street area. They had a very, very poor holiday season. And this is after discussions with a number of business owners. And they continue to struggle because of the traffic problems on the south side with the construction near the Hill-to-Hill Bridge. I'm going to strongly suggest a few things, and some of these business people were a little hesitant to show up tonight because they don't always feel that city government listens to them. But number one, somebody needs to light a firecracker under PennDOT and the construction firms doing that work. That job needs to get done yesterday. Secondly, and probably equally important in the interim, St. Luke's Hospital has apparently sprung to finance the overtime necessary to have traffic officers in the 3rd and Wyandotte area. That's not the only area you need them. One of the business owners over there happened to talk to a truck driver who was stuck in traffic for over a half an hour on East 3rd Street recently. We need traffic cops elsewhere to keep traffic moving and expedite the traffic. I frequent a number of those shops. I don't go over there, and that's the problem. That's what they're facing, is that people who normally do business over there are not coming over because of the traffic. They don't want to have to contest the backup of traffic on 3rd and 4th Street. If you're looking for revenue, one of the businessmen said, how about enforcing the pedestrian crosswalks? How about enforcing the speed limits on 3rd Street? You might generate a little revenue and be able to cover that overtime to get that accomplished. They're hurting. They're hurting very badly. And something needs to be done. You can have all the ribbon cuttings in the world, but when the people who are already established in your business districts struggle to survive, you've got a problem. And when the issues are human created, that says to me that humans need to solve them. And I don't think our city government, and in particular PennDOT, are doing enough to ensure that these businesses can bounce back and thrive, and they can do it even while construction is happening over there. That job needs to get finished, and it needs to be finished very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? This meeting is adjourned.